Welcome to the Two Act Podcast, where we review anime, cinema, and TV. I'm one of your hosts, Adi, and I'm joined by.
Kathjan.
Welcome back. It's been a while, but today we've got a new TV show to review. I have selected to review not the entire season, but the season premiere of The White Lotus, which just aired its third season premiere set in Thailand. For those who may not be aware of this show, The White Lotus is a very popular anthology series created by Mike White. Airs in HBO. It's set in a luxurious hotel revolving rich guests from various walks of life who spend a week to holiday, and in the events running up to a week, there are surprises, twists, turns, and it often ends in a mysterious death that the show builds up to in its big final reveal. It always stars some great ensemble cast. Over the years, we've seen some great actors in the show. This season features Kerry Coon, Walton Goggins, Jason Isaacs, Michelle Monaghan, Patrick Schwarzenegger, and Natasha Rothwell, to name a few, even Parker Posey. And it's set in Thailand at the White Lotus. The second season was in Italy, which is a fan favorite. It's a really popular show. It's kind of satirical. It's a real sharp critique. It's a comedy, sort of drama in a way. It's always got like these weird, fucked up mix of characters who do crazy shit. You kind of realize, at first they all look like nice, normal people, rich people. And then slowly it turns out like, things are not as they seem to appear. And you kind of dive into the little intricacies of Mike White's, deliriously delicious creation. So we're just only going to review the season 3 premiere.
Yep.
So, John, what did you think of the premiere of White Lotus season 3?
Not necessarily. If we didn't review this for the show, this is definitely not something I would have picked up on my own. I'm glad that you introduced me to something new. I personally did not watch the other two seasons. It was homework, and I didn't have enough time for it. But what I thought, interesting. Nothing like trying to like meditate to straight up gunfire. Makes me really curious where the gunshots are coming from. What's going on.
So I feel like, firstly, like it's very brave of you to jump into this season 3, because like it's kind of unfair of me to put you in that spot because context and whatnot. That being said, each season is different with different characters. It is an anthology, but there's certain conventions the show follows, which has always been consistent, even in season 3. And that is exactly what you just brought up, which is the opening scene with gunshots. Not to say that all 3 seasons have gunshots, but all 3 seasons begin with a flash forward revolving around a death or a body that's found in one of the premises of the White Lotus hotels. And we don't get to see who it is, but we get to see just enough to know the moment in which the body is discovered, that there's a dead person here. And that always, starts off in horror because you're like, oh my God, there's a dead person here. And then it cuts and we go straight to the introduction back in time, where we see all these new faces, these new guests, from various walks of life, from various backgrounds. They're mostly rich people or weird people, whatever.
Not people I can relate with.
They're all, well, it is kind of a critique on the type of people you may encounter if you ever try to vacation in a luxury hotel. But there's these guests who are often a great stellar ensemble cast of actors, and they arrive at the hotel, and the hotel always has a cast of its own. The staff, the manager of each White Lotus has always been pretty, you know, distinguished. I mean, very distinctive, rather. And they all bring out their own personalities and issues as the season goes along. And this season is interesting. It's set in Thailand, but to get back to the point, it starts off with a character we don't know when we watch it, who's trying to like get therapy in one of the spas in the hotel, and this spa lady's like trying to tell him to like relax and let go of your monkey mind distractions. Breathe. Don't let distraction take over your life. And she's really selling the whole therapeutic Eastern meditation, whatever you call it, thing of it's whatever. It's part of the whole spa act. This guy is really stressed out. He's a young man. He's kind of there. He's trying to blow off some steam and actually meditate. And he hears like faint gunshots at the back, and he starts to freak out. And turns out there's like a crazy ass shootout happening, and we don't know what the fuck is going on. And the guy's like literally scared. The therapist lady drops her rack and fucking gets out of there. She just like dashes out.
Nope.
I fucking found that really funny. So much for like distractions and like putting up a calm act, right?
Yeah, they were like lying on the floor.
Oh yeah, the staff were like, "Oh,
stay
like
down.
Shit, don't do anything." And yeah, the guy's like, he's in the water, he's in the pond, he's like swimming, he's like praying to the Buddhist statue. He's like, "Oh, please don't be my mother, just like,
All right.
please protect her."
Please, Jesus, to the Buddhist statue.
Yeah, he takes a moment to pray to the to the statue. And as he's in the water, a body seems to float into the pond, in the pond, whatever, and it seems to come in a frame, and he is like, fuck, he encounters a dead body, but we don't know who it is. We just know that there's a dead floating body, and it cuts. So were you ever expecting such an intense opening? Because I myself was not.
Well, you as in somebody that watches White Lotus, even you're surprised. Wow.
I was surprised by the tone for it.
I didn't know what to expect, if I'm going to be honest. I just dove straight in, I'm like, if Adi likes it, it's got to have some level of quality or be really funny. So I'm like, oh, just watch it.
Did it catch you off guard?
No, the amount of crazy shit that I've subjected myself to, I don't think it caught me off guard at all. No.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Because usually, the previous two seasons, encountering a dead body is never a pleasant sight, but
it's like
it's
Among
never.
Us.
It's yeah, kind of
emergency meeting.
It's never been shown in a way where there's like an act of violence happening in the back that leads up to it. So this is the first time the show goes down that route where there's like actively something sinister happening, which is multiple gunshots. There's just like it's probably like a shootout happening in the hotel maybe, and there's probably more than one death, but that kind of leads up to this moment. And I just want to say, like, yeah, you may look at it as just a scene, but pay close attention to it, because we'll be coming back to this when it comes to the end. Every White Lotus always comes back to the first scene, because it has to show you who dies and how does it lead to the death, and it's always a very major character from the cast, so we don't know who it is just yet. But that
have a
being
good
said,
feeling it's a yuppie rich person, so there's a happy death.
well, our bets are on. It could be anyone. Your guess is as good as mine.
I hope it's Victoria. She's fucking annoying.
Victoria,
the mom of the rat family. Yeah, that whole fucking family. I hate that mom so much. She's so goddamn annoying.
That's a good segue to my next point, which was we were going to introduce the key players.
Yep.
And since you brought up the Ratliffs, let's start with the Ratliffs. One of the guests in the hotel, a group of five,
Yep.
two sons, one
Two
daughter.
sons, a daughter, and a mom and a dad.
American couple played by Jason Isaacs, who's trying his darn hardest to maintain a Southern accent miserably because he's British, and you can really tell, like,
okay.
you can really tell that. Well, I don't know if you remember him, but he's plays Lucius Malfoy in the Potter films.
Oh no, I don't remember.
You don't remember? That's fine. Well,
No.
he's he's a pretty known actor from the UK, and
So he's the dad. Okay,
he plays the
got it.
financer. He plays Timothy Ratliff, who's he's a guy vacationing with his family, and then there's Barco Posey, who plays Victoria Ratliff, who again, the accent, man, that just threw me off. I mean, I want to get a Yank's opinion here. Like, what was that accent? Because
I don't know.
I don't know if that was like intentional or if it was a bad attempt because it was horrible.
It was probably a first take. That's we're going with the. Yeah. Well, I could tell that they're American, but that's really where that's sets.
North Carolina.
Like unless you have like a really pronounced accent, as a Yank, it's like my accent, my Midwest accent. It all kind of just like bleeds together. Like anybody from like my area of the States, they all kind of sound a little similar. But it's like a Texan. Like some of those are pretty pronounced, but not all Texans have that goofy bumpkin voice, or not all Californians sound like a Valley girl, and not all New Yorkers sound like they're from Brooklyn.
So, did you feel it was a bit too on the nose, the accent?
If she continues to do a goofy accent the whole time, sure. It just gives me more reasons to not like her.
No, I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't think you're expected to like most of the characters in the show, and that's Ray. That's really
I have my favorite. I have my favorite.
That is, I'm sure you do, and we will get to favorites in a bit. But it's all intentional. Whatever you're seeing, whatever bad you're seeing, is intentional.
Okay.
Because everything is Mike White is, he's one of the I would consider him as one of the best writers in television working today, and what he's done with the show and somewhat kept it relevant despite it kind of having a gimmick of this luxury hotel featuring a debt, which could have easily it could have easily just become a mockery of itself, but somehow this guy, he's found ways to reinvent it while keeping it close to its roots, and that's what I like about it. And he always manages to get such an exciting cast of actors who are all doing their own thing, going off. I mean, you got Walton Goggins as well in this, but he's again some really good actors in the show. But coming back to the Ratliffs, they're kind of like monkeys. They're very territorial.
Yeah, I don't like that older son. He's gross.
Oh yes. Speaking of, that's played by Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Patrick.
That's unfortunate.
I don't know if you see the similarities there, but
no, he doesn't have an Austrian accent, so I couldn't even tell as a Schwarzenegger.
He's born in America. Come on,
yeah.
Raised American,
got a American mom,
but yeah, he plays Saxon, the older.
Yep.
Fucking that guy is just fucking weird, isn't he?
He wants to beat off in front of his brother. It's fucking weird.
That was so fucking weird. I mean, the whole thing, he's kind of like a shark. He's kind of like a finance bro too into himself, aggro, really like trying to be macho. There's things about like, it's a conversation where he's like, he would prefer his brother, younger brother Lachlan not to sleep in the same room as his sister because she's pretty and whatnot. And I was just like, this is kind of fucking weird. Like, it's not normal for
Yeah, that's weird.
siblings to have conversations and jokes like suggesting incestuous, you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, that's
Like,
not normal. I don't think I've ever been weird like that with my siblings.
it was really weird, but there's been some really weird characters in the show, and
Okay.
this guy kind of reminds me of a combination too. I'm not gonna go into a backstory here to explain which two, but it's interesting that you know you kind of see the similarities in a way. The first episode is titled "Same Spirits, New Forms," and I think that's very fitting because you kind of I'm not to say that everything's typecast, but you kind of come across certain characters who just fit a certain mold. And right off the bat, I could tell that okay, this guy's gonna be the asshole of the season, and you know we can expect that nothing bad will happen to him.
Good. I
That's
like him. He's my favorite.
because there's always something to subvert everyone's expectations in the show. But that being said, Saxon, kind of a weird guy. And you got the sister.
Gross.
Sister's like kind of suppressed in a way. I don't know. She
Yeah,
comes off
she's all right. She's compared to him, Saxon. She's fine. She might be the most like level-headed.
level-headed.
Yeah,
Yeah. I agree. Although you could make a case for even the younger brother Lachlan,
well,
who's just kind of like
until he does some gross shit. Yeah, I agree. Until he does some like little jerking it around the corner or something. Until he does something weird. Jury's still out. His whole family's fucking weird.
Jury's still out, but all you need to know is, this whole family is so fake because, the wife is kind of putting up an act in a way.
She's
Like I found
loopy.
Parker Posey comes off as like kind of pretentious, kind of like not the type of person you're actually gonna have a warm, nice, down to earth conversation. She's kind of full of herself. She's perfectly playing her role as the wife of a rich man, and
Right.
she goads his ego. When you compare that to Timothy, played by Jason Isaacs, the father, he's all about success. He's all about expectations. He wants his kids to be, successful like him, but they're all nepo babies working under him. And at least the first son is. And
Right.
the whole reason they arrive at the White Lotus in Thailand is because the younger daughter wants to write her thesis paper on a monk, and she decides that this was the perfect place to come in and go to a monastery and interview this monk and write this whole idea of, I don't know, Eastern cosmic spiritualism or whatever. But we'll see how that goes. Kind of interesting that Lachlan is kind of like the younger brother. He's played by Sam Navola. He's kind of a, at first glance, he seems all right. Did you find anything?
I didn't get any weird vibes from him yet. But
yeah,
like I said,
that is important. Emphasis on the yet.
Ratliffs, just how like the dad acts and how the eldest son acts and how the mom acts. Like, this is not a well-adjusted family, and I think they're strictly together because they're wealthy. There's like the only reason. They'd all be doing their own things if they weren't.
It's a facade, isn't it? It's the perfect happy family that isn't actually necessarily happy. I mean, they're all putting up an act in a way, you could tell, because something seems off. So the youngest sister kind of asks the younger brother, "Oh, do you want to come with me to the monastery?" And Saxon, the older dude's like, "Oh, don't you want to come to swim by the pool with me?" And the younger brother has to make a decision, and he comes to the, conclusion that, "Oh, well, I'll do both. I'll go with you, and then I'll meet you later because that's a sensible thing to do."
funny thing about that, like I had a recollection from when I was very young. I had a similar situation. So now this is a huge sidebar. So I had a memory where I was very young, where I had to decide if I wanted to go on the bumper cars with my uncle or if I wanted to go on the bumper cars with my aunt. And my aunt would let me drive, but my uncle, he's a boy, and of course I want to go with him. And I remember like regretting the decision of going with my uncle because he's 4 years older. I'm like 5. It's just like I feel like if I was Lachlan, I would like regret just not wanting to hang out with the sister because of how gross the brother is.
Yeah, yeah, and we kind of like we don't necessarily know that yet at that point when she asks him out and he's like, "Oh
Right,
no,"
right, right, right.
but you kind of get the cracks are there. You kind of get the sense like this guy's a bit weird. Like, what the fuck is going on here? But anyways, we'll digress.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is though, like he picks up this fruit while they're like getting acquainted at the hotel, and
Mm.
each of the guests is given a health mentor to like make sure that they disconnect and actually follow a plan.
Put your
And he
fucking
picks
phone away.
your fucking phone away. You're at this detox spa. It's the
Yep.
best in the world. And he picks up this fruit that he finds, and she's like, "Don't eat that. That's poisonous. That could kill you. That's only here for decoration." And he just casually laughs over it and throws it out. And the reason why I bring that up is like, don't be surprised. Like, there's
If
shit,
that comes back.
whatever you see, everything kind of is there for a reason. It's there to imply
Oh.
something.
So
If it's and
everything is a Chekhov's gun.
it can be, and that's what's
Oh, okay.
important to keep track here, because if we do come back later down the line, we'll be coming back to our predictions, and which will I'll be taking yours in the end of the segment. But
Yeah.
it'll be fun to then see who got it right or came close. But anyways, uh I want to go to the next guest in the hotel. So we got the Ratliff family. They're kind
Hmm.
of weird. They're rich Americans from North Carolina. We don't know. Oh, it's important to emphasize that the father is in some deep financial shit
Yep. He gets a phone call.
from one of the reporters in New York, Wall
The
Street,
yeah, the like
New York Times or whatever,
something like that, yeah.
something like that. But basically, it's implying that you're connected to this guy who's shady and like.
Hmm.
But he basically puts him off and says, like, "Well, I don't have the time for this.
Right. I'm on
I'm on
vacation.
vacation. I'm on vacation, but who knows? It could come back to bite him in his ass, and it'll be interesting to see what what dark secret he's harboring about the family. Maybe he's a wanted man, and family doesn't know it just yet. So
Mm.
I found that really interesting because it sets up his character in a funny way. Even their conversation at the dinner table is really weird. He's kind of like going through each one and being like, "Oh, what are you gonna do for this week? What's your goal for the week?" You know, he looks at his third son, the second son,
Oh, I
who's
gotta make a
about,
choice. Well, you're going to
yeah,
Duke.
yeah, yeah. There's no question about it. We all went to Duke.
Right.
So that was pretty funny because it sets up like the guy is like, the second son is, I don't know if he has any agency over his life, but whatever it is, he's got a big important decision to make, and he's kind of part of this fucked up family, whether he likes it or not. But he
Hmm.
just seems like a nice guy. I mean, there's nothing glaringly a red flag just
Hmm.
yet at that point. But anyways, we'll go to the next guest because we've got a few more to cover.
Hmm.
The next guest, well, let's go with Walton Goggins,
As
and
Rick.
as Rick Hatchett, a rugged and mysterious man with a chip on his shoulder, traveling with his young girlfriend Chelsea, played by Amy Lou Wood, who
Hmm.
some of you may recognize from the very popular British Netflix show Sex Education. So, yeah. What did you think of this couple? Because, like, I was like,
Ah,
I'm a big fan of Goggins, by the way. I mean, we covered him in Fallout.
yeah.
Guys, guy's a fucking underrated actor. He's always fucking whatever he does.
I
You
thought they
know,
were like really mismatched.
hmm,
Like
I
so
agree.
Goggins, he's a real G. He's a lovable asshole. He's smoking a cigarette on the boat, and they're all like
Yeah, a
crying
little
about
bit of a
my wife and I are bothered by your smoke. And he's just
the
like,
rap lips are bothered.
yeah. And then I have a feeling that Rick's gonna be my favorite because like all these
Yeah.
people are all like are
Yes.
gross and disgusting, and they're a
Yes.
part of the bourgeoisie. They're a bunch of rich fucks that don't have like any comprehension of what it's like to be, somebody struggling, or somebody that, has enough money but not has all the money. And like his girlfriend, could tell she's British, but not because of her accent. Because I looked at
Because
her
of a teeth.
teeth. The teeth, yeah, that's a very famous trait of the British.
Right.
I don't something
Right.
about dental care. I don't know. I think it's cute, but
Dental
that's
care is free in the UK, so it's not always the
that's
best.
strange. It's free. You'd
No,
think.
no, it's not
Um,
strange. It's actually very normal. Free
okay.
healthcare.
I'm not familiar with that. I wish I was. Um, yeah, no. I thought she was pretty funny. Yeah,
She was bubbly. She was like
yeah,
a perfect counterbalance to this guy who's just grumpy and mopey, and you could kind
right.
of tell.
You want to get fucked
Um,
up and do some tantric sex?
and the guy just looks at her like, what the fuck are
You're
you on
out of
about?
your fucking mind, is what he gave her the look. Yeah.
I just want to say, like, you and I, spot on choice here. I completely agree. This guy, I have a feeling he's going to be my favorite character as well,
Hmm.
because there's something about how he's been overtly set up as this kind of, you know, unlikable guy. But I feel
Hmm.
like he's going to have one of the biggest redemption arcs in this season.
Okay.
Because first impressions are like this with the White Lotus. Nothing is as it
Hmm.
seems to appear. We don't know why Rick is here, precisely why, but he's here because there's a reason why. He didn't just want to come to Thailand to blow off some steam, because the guy literally does nothing but want to blow off steam. Like, he's constantly stressed out. He's miserable. He's smoking a cigarette. He's drinking a beer. He's like, and then you realize, oh shit, you're introduced to the opening scene where they meet the one of the hotel owners, who's this very famous rich Thai lady who runs the place,
Hmm.
and turns out he's kind of figuring out where her husband is.
Yep.
Some guy called Jim Hollinger, who apparently was meant to be at that hotel, but he kind of figures out that he's not necessarily there, so he's kind of pissed off about it. But that's just some context on why he's there. But we don't know for real what the fuck is going on. I don't know
Hmm.
what their relationship is like. It's a weird dynamic. She's like overtly bubbly. She wants to have fun. She's seeing the positives. She's having amazing time being in Thailand. And this guy wants nothing to do with that. It's like he's here
She's
on a
on
mission.
vacation. He's there for business.
Pretty much. And I just found the I just never imagined when they cast Walton Goggins in this, I never thought he'd be paired up with her, and they'd be in a relationship supposedly. We don't necessarily know the nature of their relationship just yet, but it's assumed that they are a couple.
Hmm.
But was there anything that kind of struck you in that relationship? Do you find it to be
Um,
weird? Did you see it as more of
I
an arrangement than a relationship?
well, I like them separate. I don't think they should be together. I like them separate doing their own things because I think that's like the most interesting television.
Arnie's son tries to hit on her.
Right. Well, she was having
What do you
none of
think of
that.
that?
Well, he's like you said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. He's that son, he's like
That
opposite.
scene in the pool where he's just
Yeah.
like eyeing and sharking, looking for his
Yeah,
prey.
yeah,
So
yeah. He's
weird.
the opposite of what I'm like. I'm second guessing myself. I'm, if a pretty girl's around, I'm trying to, get in there. I'm second guessing myself. I'm overthinking, and then if I do make a move, I'm gonna roll the spaghetti like all out on the floor. I'm gonna get tongue tied and say "damn it" a
You're
couple
gonna have
times.
cold feet. Cold feet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
this guy just knows no boundaries. He's even hitting on those 3 MILFs who were there to vacation as
the
well.
3
So
milfs. Those 3 dumb bitches are
we're
so
gonna get
vapid.
we're gonna get to them next.
All
But
right.
actually, was there anything you wanted to say? I just found the Goggins and
Yeah,
the Ratliff, the father of the Ratliff. I like the fact that they kind of built up this tension really
yeah,
quick.
that he doesn't like him, and
No,
he's being
called
friendly
asshole.
when he was smoking outside, and yeah,
I didn't expect that. I
and
didn't
then
see
like
it
I
as
completely forgot about that scene on the boat where he was
oh
smoking in
yeah,
front of them,
yeah.
and then I thought about
Where
it again, and
Made
I
in
was like,
Thailand where Made in Thailand is
oh,
played and you're
yeah,
introduced to these characters all in the
yeah, yeah,
same boat and you're like, "Oh shit, like these guys actually had a beef to begin with, the very first scene."
mm-hmm.
And you can tell they were judging him because he was with this young woman
Yep.
and they were like, "Oh, look at this guy, he's here with his hard bimbo." And then you see that scene in the parking lot where he's smoking and he's like the Ratliff guy walks past him and he's like, "How's your night?" And he's like, "Oh, fuck off, asshole." Did you see that as sarcasm, or did you see that as him actually trying to make conversation?
I want to say he was trying to make conversation. He probably completely forgot about the boat because who would even remember that?
Some people do. Some people take
Yeah,
things
some
really
people hold a
personally.
grudge and they're crazy, but these are all
Well, the
rich
Ratliff
people.
guy clearly did. The
Yeah,
Ratliff guy clearly did. He was like,
yeah,
"Oh, not this asshole again" from the boat.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, we'll go to the uh next sect of our guests, and that's the three best friends who are on a reunion tour. So
Yeah.
they're played by to give you or they're played by Leslie Bibb, who plays she plays Kate. And you got Michelle Monaghan as Jacqueline, and you got Kerry Coon as Laurie. So the 3 friends.
Mm-hmm.
At first glance, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of wholesome." You're looking at like 3 childhood best friends kind of having a reunion. But then, very quickly, you kind of realize, okay, there's a bit of a power play interplay here because they're
Yep.
all like kind of fucking sucking off the actress
Yeah,
Michelle
they're all
Monaghan,
running
who's
her
the successful one,
coattails big time.
and then turns out one of them's hard third wheeling in in the in the
Yeah.
friendship group, and that's Carrie Coon, who's
All crying all by
you,
herself.
in the end she does, but
Yeah.
you just know right away that this doesn't seem kind of normal. Well, it is maybe weird, but
Well,
you
it might be normal. I don't know.
could be normal. But
I'm not a woman, so
no, but I'm sure you've been part of friendship groups where the power of friendship is stronger on one side than the other.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I can see that. You're an
But
acquaintance.
yeah, but that being said, who even knows uh how if they're even actually friends or if they're just there because they want to, you know, please their egos and sort of jerk off on their own success or whatever.
Right.
Uh but it kind of got to the point where you're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing this. You're so successful. Who's your doctor?"
10
You look
minutes with
great.
them and I'd blow my fucking brains out. They are, like I said before, they are very vapid. They
Yep.
are they are plastic, and you
Yes.
could blow
Yes.
through their ears and there would be no brain. You would hear
Nope.
it on the
No
other
brain.
side of their head.
Other side on the head. And I don't want to even get too much into this because we'll see more as we get
Yeah,
along. But
any story that has to deal with those 3, I will fast forward. I don't care.
I just want to say that I have a feeling that their arc in this season is going to be
Uh-huh.
one of the most like it's just disaster waiting to happen.
Right.
Like it's gonna implode in the most, you know, disgusting way imaginable, and it's gonna be amazing to watch the fallout from the outside.
Mhm.
So I can't wait to see the fallout of what, because you know the cracks are already there, just as with every guest. But that being said, would you say that they were your least likable guests?
Yes,
Even least,
yes. If
even.
Rick's my favorite, all three of them are my least favorite. Although Victoria, she is trying really hard to be like second running. Um, they're annoying in different ways.
They
These are the
are.
type of people like I would be like inside like a grocery store, and they'd be near me, and then I just want to flee. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near them because of that's like how like
Which is
soul sucking they are.
absolutely true. Which was exactly what my next question is going to be. Like, do you, you know, have you in ways any any time in your life encountered or, you know, seen similar people with such
Oh yeah. Oh
personalities?
yeah. No, I have not to shade on any of my family members, but they have definitely had partners in the past or present that are that type of individual, and you know it is what it is. I'm happy for them that they can find love, but
Yeah,
sometimes it's to the rest of our detriment.
true, true. It is. And you know, we'll see more, I'm sure.
You know,
And
I'm not dating them, so I don't have to live with them 24/7.
oh, I don't wanna, I don't wanna even imagine that what that will
Yeah.
feel like. I think I
Yeah.
need a shower after. But but we'll get to the final sect of our guests, which is the you know, the hotel staff. I think it's
Mhm.
important to talk about them because it features one character who is back from season one, and that is Belinda, played by Natasha Rothwell. She, I'm sure those who may have watched season one or may have not, she's a character that features as a spa therapist in season one, and she's here because she's here to learn about their wellness program. And, you know, she's been sponsored to stay here at the White Lotus in Thailand and learn from the best wellness retreat center. And, you know, she's staying there as a guest. And yeah, she's here. And I think very quickly you'll realize that the young man first opening scene who's trying to meditate and comes across gunshots is her son.
Yep.
So you know, that's what's been set up. And Belinda is, you know, she feels trapped in a way with her life. She feels like you know, there's some interesting critique, social commentary on her identity as a black woman. I mean, there's a scene where she's having dinner with by herself, and she sees another, you know, black woman couple
Yep.
sitting across, and they're not staff. And she talks about it in one of her conversations with their son, that, oh, you know,
Yep.
I came across black people and they weren't staff. So it's interesting that you know, she comes from a background that really has made her challenge and question her identity in a way. But it's interesting, you know, her connection with Jennifer Coolidge, who's one of the fan favorite characters from the first two seasons,
Mm.
uh, is interesting because that leads you to a few other twists and turns that will, you know, intertwine, I'm sure. But yeah, Belinda's back, and there's also another cast of Thai actors. You know, of course the hotel owner is one of them, and then you got the weird general manager who kind of seems like a control freak. We don't really get to see much of him. There's a Russian fitness guy who looks like he's like sort of a model. Guy's like ripped, and each guest is assigned a sort of health mentor. And there's, you know, the Ratcliffes have this Australian lady It was really funny. The cast is huge, but one of the staff actors I wanted to point out was Lisa, who plays the character Mook. She's the Thai
Yeah,
lady
yeah, I
who
like
you
her.
may see gets a lift. She's nice. She's really pretty.
Yeah.
She's really, got a nice bubbly energy. I think her scenes with Rick in that scene where she introduces them to their suite was pretty funny because she's just like trying to do a job and this guy's just being
Yeah.
an asshole. But she's played by Lisa, who's a very major K-pop star.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I don't know if you're aware. Um,
Is Lisa her stage name?
yeah, Lisa.
Okay, I
The
think
name,
I
yeah,
vaguely know of her.
yeah.
Like I
She's
don't
from
listen to
Blackpink.
it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah. I'm
member.
familiar with that band. Yeah,
Yeah, so she's a
that group.
member of Blackpink. She's really big. She's got crazy star presence. This is her first acting debut role. So there's a lot of like
Oh,
K-pop fans who are watching the show for that reason, and I think it's interesting. I think each character is gonna have a role to play. They're not just there for the backgrounds. And speaking of backgrounds, I think we need to end the segment on characters. Uh, One major character that comes back, which got everyone by surprise. I'm not sure if you were surprised because you were just like, "Who is
I was
this?"
like, who's that? He's got a really
Yes.
pretty wife.
Yeah, yeah. Rick's girlfriend chats up with this pretty model, and they become friends. And the model's like, "Oh yeah, that's we see a lot of bald white dudes in Thailand. We call them LBH, losers back home." And then it cuts to a scene of like these two white dudes who are bald and old, and they're pretty much Brits. They're sitting in a next table, and then the model's like, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend sat at the back in the orange shirt
Yep.
behind the bald guy," and we see a shot of none other than Greg, played by John Grease. For those who don't know, he's a character who pops up in season one and season two, and he leaves on season two because it's implied that he was behind the plan to kill Tanya and inherit her money. So it's interesting. He's somewhat fleed to Thailand. We don't know what the fuck he's doing here. Apparently, he's already got a girlfriend. It was implied that he was in a relationship with another character played by Tom Hollander. So we didn't know what the heck was going on because Greg just decided to leave. And then, we saw the hints that he had a connection with that and behind Tanya's death, which unfortunately leads to her demise in that shootout in the yacht in season two. But it's interesting that they decided to bring him back because, this season is themed on Eastern spiritualism, karma, cosmos. So we all want to see Greg receive his comeuppance. But the big question remains is what is he doing here and will he receive his comeuppance? So I think it's
Mm.
fascinating that a show that's an anthology that's meant to be, kind of pick your own season to watch because it doesn't matter, has still some ways managed to keep a link between the two, three of them. And it's interesting that this character, who is just a side character, turns out to be kind of a very recognizable figure in the franchise. And it's interesting to see what'll happen. I mean, I'd ask you for your first impressions, but I'm pretty sure you were just like, yeah, he just looks like an average dude. Like,
We got a
did
lot of
you
those around here.
pretty much? I mean,
A lot
there's
of
not
bald white
much to
guys.
a lot of LBHs
A
around.
lot of
So
LBHs for sure.
pretty much, I just wanted to you know talk about some of the themes I found interesting. I mean,
Okay.
there's a sense of danger in paradise that I get. The toxic fruit, the wild monkeys, the Belinda's
Spite
fear of snakes
lizards.
falling from the branch. Yeah, the
Yep.
monitor lizards.
Yep.
There's like this kind of weird sense that there's danger lurking in plain sight, and if our guests are not careful, something could happen. I like the fact that they teased this, and I must say, compared to the previous two seasons, it does feel a lot more kind of darker in its style, like in its tone and its the color palette, everything surrounding how it's set up its first episode. The first episode in every season doesn't necessarily give you much plot because it's just an introduction, but you kind of get used to the key players. But I like the fact that they kind of showed that, oh, that this is like a volatile jungle, welcome to jungle. You're in Thailand, and there's shit that can happen. You're in a foreign country, and it's the first time they've done it in Asia. So, I just want to ask you, what did you think of the hotel? Because they always shoot it at a Four Seasons. They
Hmm.
shot that in Hawaii in the first one. They shot
Okay.
in Sicily in the second, and the third.
Okay.
They're in Koh Samui, which is an island in Thailand.
Okay. Um,
Location? Were you in any
I
ways?
felt
Because
like yeah,
locations.
I felt like it was like Thailand, but I've never been, so
Oh no, of course. I mean, you don't
um
necessarily have to, but
yeah, no, it
you guys.
definitely seemed for lack of a better term, because I'm in the States, it definitely seemed like a hideaway like paradise. That's what it
Right.
kind of seemed like. I'm sure all of the other seasons are like that too. Like it's a
Yeah,
secluded
yeah.
paradise.
It is, and the hotel actually is actually really in a secluded paradise because it has its own private land, and that whole
Yeah.
area is pretty much owned by the hotel. So, they probably it worked in their favor to get that, and they shot in Thailand for like 7 months. So I would imagine they spend quite a lot of time there, and in other places, I'm sure. But it's interesting. I like the location. I like the jungle and the weird animals and reptiles and this whole danger lurking in plain sight.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. Was there any key takeaways you had from this episode? Was there any moments you want to
Um,
be like, what the fuck? Or was, you want to bring out, criticize, point out, praise, whatever?
Nothing yet. I don't have any critiques other than that. They just some of
Really?
these
So
characters are
that scene where, Patrick Schwarzenegger
like
talking to his.
he's gross, but I don't think like the only thing that like was a little odd was I'm not familiar with Belinda because I haven't seen the previous seasons, but
Yeah.
some of her lines were like very like stereotypical black woman, like oh hell, that was a little weird, but I wouldn't say it really like takes away from it for me. Like I've watched a lot of TV, and a lot of it is something I would watch passively. It's not necessarily something I would give it my full undivided attention. But like I've said previously, because this is for the pod, I'm not going to be dicking around on my phone or whatever. But like I've watched a lot of TV that has like crazy amount of seasons, and that it's not like this very a lot of different like storylines that are going all over the place. Some of them I'm definitely going to care about more. Like that's really the only thing like I got going. Like there's certain characters I don't care about, but that's just because that's the type of characters they are, and it's not necessarily like the writing or anything like that. Like if I watched like a couple more episodes after this, I could really start to form an opinion. Uh,
Yes, yes. I do want to say that it is kind of
like
unfair to ask you to give
it's
me a
not
critique because it is just an intro.
from what I watched, like I guess the really only critique could be like there wasn't really a nice hook uh to make like let's say if I discovered this on Netflix. Other than, the little thing that entices me to watch it, like the little thumbnail, like the little intro, like starting thing. If I put this on, I don't necessarily know if I would continue to watch this. there's been many of like movies or like TV shows where I'm just like, I don't know if I'm necessarily in the mood for this, or I'm just gonna tear it apart. If it's something really over the top and really like goofy, but it's pretending to be like it's straight. Like I definitely didn't see that in this at all. But like I said,
Well, all I can say is that the show really sets it up sets up in a straightforward way, but
yep,
it gets weirder and weirder as it goes
I'm
along.
I'm
And
very interested.
don't be surprised if some character ends up fucking doing something completely weird or crazy and you'd never see it coming, because that's kind of expected. Actually, you just never know what's. But all I can say is that there's always a heavy scrutiny and theory. Like there's a theory I read which is interesting that I wanted to bring out. There's a theory that the younger Ratliff, the young son, is probably closeted.
Could
Did
be.
you get the sense? I mean, there's this
Well,
suggestion,
he's
because
like
the whole
college age.
encounter is kind of weird.
Well, if he did come out as gay, like the amount of shit he'd get from his brother probably wouldn't be worth it. So
Then
yeah,
what
no,
brother? But
I could
what
see
brother
that.
would like ask what sort of
Well,
porn you want to watch and like walk
one
in
that
naked
is weird.
and yeah, but that whole scene was weird. I mean, there's nothing about, and the fact that he kept staring and that guy went in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
he might be gay. Yeah, I could see that.
It was bizarre almost.
Yeah, I think his dad would definitely look down on him. His mom would probably be the
There's
only, and his sister would accept it.
there's
But
this sense that he could be like grooming him. We don't know for
no,
sure.
ew, I don't like that.
We don't know for sure, but there's like weird implications. Like, the dynamic with the sister is weird as well, because she's dolled up, uh,
All
and
right.
covered up, and she's really like suppressed and weird. Like she goes to the monastery, but she doesn't want to go in. And the guy's like, "Well, you brought me here because we thought we were gonna check it out, and you don't want to go in." I thought that was bizarre. So
Yeah.
there's something
Well,
weird,
I
and
don't necessarily know if that's that weird, but other than their brother is
but oh
obvious
yeah,
rocker. Yeah, no,
the
he's
brother
unhinged.
is. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a deep, dark secret the family's harboring surrounding
Yeah,
his
I
brother.
can see that.
Uh, maybe something happened. Maybe there's a reason why he's behaving the way he is. I mean,
Yeah,
you
some
know,
families have deep dark secrets that they don't want anybody to know.
absolutely. So, the last season had a really fascinating storyline involving two couples who were kind of, cheating on each other, and it got to a point where the tension was so high, and the relationship between each other, like they were the type of couple that hated the other couple for the way they were. Like one was really real but not getting on, and the other was fake but getting on. And the dynamic was such that it just led to, oh shit, one of them's going to end up killing each other because the tension's through the roof.
Right.
And
Conflict.
they just end up rug pulling the whole thing, and you get completely subverted. So don't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we reach the end of the season and you're bummed out by some of the things that, oh, they didn't die. I wanted them to die, or whatever. They didn't get justice, or this character is still a dick or whatever. So I just want to put that out there,
Okay.
so your expectations aren't rocked. or maybe or maybe I'm proven wrong here. Maybe
This is the
uh,
one season where none of that happens.
exactly. Like I said, all our bets are on. Anyone's
Okay.
predictions as good as anyone's guess is as good as mine. And that's where we'll end it. I want to come to predictions. Uh, Maybe it's unfair to ask you to predict, but
Sure.
I just wanted to ask you who you think dies.
Well, I don't think it's her son. Um, maybe one of the blondes. That's my guess. I'm gonna go with the blondes. And it will be like the best blonde to kill in that party would probably be the second fiddle.
Yeah.
Not the sad girl, because that would be tragic. But
It
second
would be.
fiddle dying, that would be the one you'd least expect to die out of like all the
Hmm.
characters. Like a lot of these characters are unlikable and characters you would wish that they would die. But
Yeah.
to subvert your expectations, Goggins definitely ain't dying. And the dad of the Ratliff family, he ain't dying because he's got his own bullshit to deal with. Or maybe because that would be the most obvious. Yeah. Yeah, the Ratliffs, they're all gonna survive. That's another prediction.
Mm. That's a safe bet, actually. Or maybe it's not, but
Maybe
we'll
it's
see.
not.
But you
What,
were about to say something.
no, I was just saying that the Ratliff dad, he has that storyline with the paper and the his business partner that's shady. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, he's getting away.
Okay, so since we heard multiple gunshots, all right, I'm gonna add in another layer to the prediction, and I'm gonna say, let's assume that there'll be more than one because of that
Ah,
multiple shootout, because there's obviously a shootout happening where someone is trying to kill someone, right? Um, Quite often when there's a shootout, more than one person can end up dying. So,
okay.
do you have maybe a second or a third death to
Um,
also predict? If you want to predict, or you're happy with one?
oh, that's tough.
There's
Like
Greg as well.
it's
Let's not
it's like
forget.
throwing darts at a dartboard. I'm sure there's like betting in the UK. It's just like, all right, who's gonna die? All
You
right,
can go to Poly Market and find out right now.
probably who's the most likely to die. Yeah. Uh,
Fan
um,
theories there.
yeah. I'll just go with the second fiddle girl. I won't assume a lot of people are gonna die.
Right. I find that
Although,
choice to be interesting.
because a gunshot necessarily isn't death, but a gunshot can graze you. It can, if it doesn't hit a vital organ, or if it ricochets or misses.
Or
Um,
you could just be caught in the crossfire and
right,
die.
right, right. Or you could just be full of lead, shot multiple times to make sure you die.
True.
Could just die to like a what do you call it? Like a gun battalion. It's like how
Yeah.
they used to kill like old like criminals. They were murderers. They would turn them around and just fire line them.
Yep. Yep. That is completely possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's interesting you picked that. Uh, you picked Leslie Bibb, who plays one of the
Yeah.
three. It's interesting you picked her because when I looked at the poster and I tried to see who could die, I first I thought as well, like, okay, this is the most fucked up family here, who are
Right.
really like reprehensible. There, nothing's gonna happen to them. So
The fans are
I
like cheering for their death, and it's not gonna
yeah,
happen.
and I'm like, it's not gonna happen. I mean, they'll go through some fucked up shit. There'll be something
Right.
crazy.
Some
We'll see.
crazy ass reveal will like blow your
Absolutely
mind.
bonkers story for sure. I don't deny it, but I don't think they'll die. Um, and I too looked at the characters. I didn't think Goggins would die, even though they've set him
Mm.
up that way. I don't know. They set him up as he could potentially be a hitman, or he could potentially be fleeing or on the run or trying to do something to get to someone. I think
Mm.
that's too predictable.
Okay.
I don't think he's gonna die. I hope not. But I also think one of the blonde friends might end up dead.
Mm.
And I do want to make a prediction and say that I think Greg will get his comeuppance and he
Okay.
will end up dead, potentially in the crossfires.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction.
Mm.
Uh, but that being said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Thai angle to this, because let's not forget it is set in Thailand for a reason,
Right.
for a very specific reason. And I think the Thai there are the Thai characters who are introduced. We can't go through them all, but I wouldn't be surprised that one of them somehow ends up being
In the
involved in this
crossfire, yeah.
in the act of violence, or maybe
Yeah.
instigates it or starts it, because you never know. It could be a misunderstanding. It could be gangs in Bangkok coming in, or it could be some crazy ass triad shit. Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised. But that's my prediction. All right. Now,
Oh, okay.
what we'll do is we'll come back to this whenever we can. Once we're a bit more far and thick into the story, with a lot more of an opinion to form.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we'll tally up the predictions, and we'll see how it comes across. All right. So that just leaves me to the conclusion. Any final thoughts? I mean, you don't need to rate it. It's
Nope.
in my opinion, you
We'll
can't
rate
rate
it
it.
at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just any final thoughts, any expectations?
Well,
What do you
maybe
hope happens?
I hope it's good. That's what I hope.
Okay.
I hope I don't get bored.
So you're saying that you were bored at some points.
Well, the blondes, that's when I was just like, whatever, I don't care. You're
I thought
so
it was
annoying.
pretentious. I thought it was so pretentious. But I
Right.
thought it was,
Well, I assume like that's like kind of the point.
yeah, it is the
That they're
point. And
gross.
that's the thing that, they're showing you characters you're meant to hate for a very
Right.
fair reason. I think I have a bit more sympathy for Kerry Coon, because she clearly is third wheeling.
Right.
But end of the day, I mean, not there's we'll see how redeeming they are or not. But it's interesting. These are the key players. I hope Goggins is the MVP, because he's my favorite actor in the cast.
Yeah,
I
he's gonna
always
get
love
a
his
kill streak and call an attack helicopter.
Wouldn't be surprised if there's like some crazy. I'm pretty sure they shot some scenes in Bangkok, so I wouldn't be
Okay.
surprised if they end up there. But anyways, we'll end it there. We'll come back to this when we can.
Yep.
And
I
we'll leave
gotta.
that to the recommendation.
All right. So recommendation for next time. So I have an anime this time. We're going to do the first season of Fooly Cooly, or FLCL. Adi, have you ever watched or heard of Fooly Cooly?
Nope, never heard of it.
Sweet.
Sorry.
All right, I got a little like intro. The reason why I say the first season is because there are like 2, 3, or 4 seasons, and those other seasons are nothing like the first one because they had a different studio, different writing team, different everything. So I wrote a little cute thing. This is the anime I watched the most times. It's 6 episodes. So as it goes, this kid gets hit by a yellow Vespa driven by a pink-haired girl, and then a giant robot climbs out of his head. FLCL, or Fooly Cooly as its name is the show, 6 episodes of randomness. Join us for a wild ride next time. You excited, Adi?
I am. When you say 6 episodes of randomness, is it like kind of an anthology with each episode being its own story?
No. It's like randomness. Like I think of like it's like the energy. It's just very all over the place. It's very goofy. It's like
Irreverent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like it has a plot, but it's not important. It's more of just, it's a summer, you're a teenager and you're just trying to enjoy it, and just coming to term. It's one of those coming of age stories.
Nice, with a twist.
Yeah, I know you like that. Yeah.
Great.
We'll see.
Great.
We'll see if you really enjoy this one.
We'll see. Well, that's goodbye from me. We'll look forward to that episode.
All right. See you, Space Cowboy.